at 10:30 hours on October 27, 1943. As heavy rain swept across the Solomon Sea, New Zealand infantry slammed into the beaches of Mono Island in the Treasury Islands, beginning an assault involving 3,795 men supported by pre-landing bombardment from the American destroyers Phillip and Pringle. Though Japanese commanders expected the Allies to continue pushing north up the Solomon's chain, they were caught completely off guard by both the timing and the specific target of this landing. Among the very first Americans to step onto the wet volcanic sand were men of Company A, 87th Naval Construction Battalion, including a 25-man headquarters detachment carrying equipment that would permanently change. Pacific Island Warfare Massive Olive Drab Caterpillar, D8 Bulldozers 20-ton tracked machines with 10-foot steel blades. Built in Peoria and San Leandro and shipped more than 7,000 miles to a remote island few Americans could find on a map. As their diesel engines roared to life, exhaust curling into the tropical humidity, the unfamiliar thunder of heavy machinery rolled across the jungle. Japanese defenders retreating inland could hear the engines growling machines on a scale most of them had never encountered. Barely an hour after the assault began, the moment that would become Seabee legend unfolded when machinists mate second-class Aurelio Tassone of Milford, Massachusetts, guided his D8 bulldozer down the ramp of a landing craft. His commanding officer, Lieutenant Charles Turnbull, shouted that a Japanese pillbox built from coconut logs and sand in classic imperial defensive fashion was pinning down New Zealand and American troops with a machine gun covering the entire beach. Tassone calmly raised his blade as a shield, swung wide around the structure while bullets clanged against steel, and with Turnbull providing covering fire, charged straight at the fortification from the rear. In seconds he dropped the blade, crushed the pillbox, and buried its 12 occupants beneath tons of logs, sand, and coral. The beach was clear, the advance resumed, and Tassone was awarded the Silver Star, promoted to machinists made first class, and immortalized in military publications, wartime comics, and later the John Wayne film The Fighting Seabees. Yet Tassone's dramatic act represented only the smallest fraction of what bulldozers would achieve in the Pacific. Their true contribution was not battlefield heroics, but mathematics construction speed that turned industrial capacity into decisive strategic advantage. As gunfire tapered on Mono, the Seabees kept working. Their bulldozers carved supply dumps within hours for ammunition, food, medical supplies, and equipment. Within days, they had built 21 miles of roads across Mono and nearby Sterling Island, established a PT boat base, and begun constructing a 5,600-foot airfield with dual 100-foot wide runways, complete with taxiways, hard stands, and an aviation fuel farm of 5 1,000-barrel tanks. When the rest of the 87th Battalion arrived on November 28th, followed by the 82nd in December and the 88th in January 1944, the airfield was lengthened to 7,000 feet and widened to 300 large enough for heavy bombers. In barely 2 months, an undeveloped jungle had become a major forward air base. These timelines represented a revolution in Pacific logistics. America could capture an island and transform it into a functional base in days or weeks, while Japanese forces relying on hand labor required months. This disparity created a self-reinforcing cycle. Faster construction meant faster operations. Faster operations meant Japanese garrisons had less time to prepare. Less preparation meant weaker defenses. Weaker defenses meant faster victories. Faster victories meant fewer casualties and lower resource costs. Bulldozers made the cycle possible. Fleet Admiral William Bull Halsey later stated that if he had to rank the machines that won the Pacific War, he would list submarines first, radar second, aircraft third, and bulldozers fourth above battleships, carriers, cruisers, and destroyers. The Caterpillar D8S, particularly the Wartime 8R series, embodied this power. Built with simplified wartime designs that substituted non-critical materials, the 8R still delivered 130 horsepower through a proven 6-speed transmission, weighing over 15 tons. Nearly 10,000 were produced between 1941 and 1945, many shipped directly into combat zones. After the war, countless eights, identifiable by serial markings like US-7 for 7th Fleet Service, found second lives on civilian job sites across the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. But on the battlefield, they were irreplaceable. A single D8 could move roughly 300 cubic meters of earth per hour, work equal to 300 men with shovels laboring all day. Japan possessed almost no comparable machinery. Its engineer units relied overwhelmingly on Korean and Taiwanese laborers using hand tools, and Japanese attempts to match American construction pace consistently failed. On Guadalcanal, Japanese troops spent months trying to complete Henderson Field. The Seabees made it operational for U.S. aircraft within days of capturing it. On Espiritu Santo, they carved a 6,000-foot runway from untouched jungle in 20 days. On New Georgia, they built a fighter strip within 9 days of landing. At Tarawa, they restored a ruined runway within 15 hours of the island's capture. On Saipan, they had airfield Islito operational in for days, allowing B-29s to begin strategic bombing of Japan within weeks. This pattern held across Kwajalein, Inuiatok, Guam, Peleliu, and eventually Iwo Jima, where Seabees built and repaired airfields, even as Japanese defenders fought from an underground fortress network months in the making. Bulldozers sealed cave entrances, opened supply routes under fire, and cleared rubble from bombardments that would have immobilized less mechanized armies. American operational tempo accelerated relentlessly because each captured island became a new forward base almost immediately. Even Japanese commanders recognized the implications. Vice Admiral Shigeru Fukudome later wrote that American construction capabilities, heavy equipment foremost among them, were among the decisive factors in Japan's defeat. Japanese attempts to destroy the machinery rarely achieved more than limited, temporary effects, a few bulldozers lost to artillery or infiltration raids. Quickly replaced from the vast U.S. reserve, American industry simply outproduced any Japanese countermeasure. Companies like Caterpillar, International Harvester, and Allis-Chalmers built tens of thousands of crawler tractors during the war. Caterpillar alone delivered over 56,000. In contrast, Japan lacked both industrial capacity and the shipping to move such heavy equipment through waters patrolled by American submarines. The men operating the machines were equally important. Seabees were not teenagers fresh from basic training, but seasoned tradesmen, average age 37. Many with decades of civilian experience as heavy equipment operators. Welders, engineers, carpenters, surveyors, or mechanics. Age waivers extended to 50, and some men over 60 enlisted by lying about their age. Their expertise meant that when a bulldozer rolled off a landing craft, it was guided by someone who already understood earth-moving, grading, drainage, and road building. Aurelio Tassone was 38 when he crushed the pillbox on Mono. His action was not improvisation, but the practiced skill of a professional. Their training combined Marine-led combat instruction with specialized construction education at Camp Endicott, Camp Peary, and later Port Hueneme, where 40-plus vocational schools taught everything from bulldozer operation and welding to surveying, pile driving, drafting, and electrical systems. Because Seabees often worked under fire, their casualties included both combat deaths and construction accidents, equipment rollovers, explosions, collapsing structures, and tropical disease. About 500 were killed in action, thousands wounded, and hundreds more lost to accidents. Yet they amassed an extraordinary record of valor: 33 silver stars, 5 Navy crosses, hundreds of bronze stars, and thousands of purple hearts. By war's end, they had built more than 400 bases across the Pacific, airfields, ports, hospitals, fuel depots, roads, bridges, tank farms, radar stations, and entire fleet anchorage complexes. Over 100 airfields were constructed or rebuilt, from simple coral fighter strips to massive B-29 bases in the Marianas. These achievements demonstrated a truth that defined the Pacific War. Victory depended not only on ships and planes, but on the industrial ability to build faster than the enemy could destroy. The Seabees, armed with bulldozers, diesel engines, and construction expertise, turned islands into launch pads, jungles into runways, coral into highways, and battlefields into bases. Their machines reshaped geography, accelerated campaigns, reduced casualties, and ensured that every mile America advanced became a platform for the next. In doing so, they proved that in modern warfare, the power to build is as decisive as the power to fight, and often the power that wins wars.